All right, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the SafeUT SuperUser and School Safety Student Advisory Board Facilitator Orientation. We appreciate you being here, especially after school hours. Very quick, brief orientation today, and then obviously any questions or anything hopefully will be answered as well. All right, so the first thing we want to say is welcome and congratulations. After an extensive process of grant application reviews, you have all been granted and selected and chosen to be SafeUT super users. So thank you very much for your interest and for your willingness, and also congratulations. Tina Morandi, who you have been sending your applications and your updated budget forms to, has asked that I do mention most of you have received a formal congratulations letter, but for some reason, if you have not just yet, please be patient. It is coming. You have been accepted. You have been granted, which is why you're here today, but you will receive those very soon. All right, so our agenda today, we're going to quickly get started with introductions. We'll start the day actually with some group discussion, and then we will take it to an overview of the very big acronym of yes, SafeUT SuperUser and School Safety Student Advisory Board Facilitator Grant. And then we'll talk about the expectations that we have of you specifically as super users. We'll have questions and answers throughout the day, but also have that time at the end for any outstanding questions that we can answer for you. All right, Christy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Christy Walker, Safe and Healthy Schools Coordinator over at the Utah State Board of Education. Thank you all for joining us today. We're really excited about this new program and the funding we've been able to secure for you all. So again, thanks for being here.
Tina, go ahead. Are you still on the line, Tina?
I am sorry, I couldn't find the button. Are we just introducing ourselves? Sorry, I'm working.
No, it's okay. Yes, I just wanted to introduce you to this group of super users since they've been emailing back and forth and calling with you. You've been so generous with your time.
So I was checking the emails for the WebEx today. So anyway, yes, I am Tina Miranda. You're the one who's, I guess I can put my video on for a second. Please forgive me. I have a fly flying around my main office. I had to move because I couldn't get it, so I moved offices today. But it's good to maybe see who I've talked to, and I've had fun working with you today.
Wonderful. And then, yes, I am Ashley Costello. I am a SafeUT project administrator, but I'm also a USBE liaison, and I work with the University of SafeUT program. Oh, I was muted. Was I muted during all of that?
Well, here's the having some feedback. If anybody who's on here needs to mute their, please.
Wonderful, thank you.
Give it a minute. It's still pretty. Julie Miller, Samantha Gray, please mute my I think we'll probably be on.
All right, so like I said, we did want to get started with some discussion today. And let's first talk about SafeUT first, and specifically my position. So I was hired back in February. I'm still pretty new to the SafeUT program and a member of USBE. Also Utah, I just moved to Utah last August. But I am that liaison, that line of communication between SafeUT and the Utah State Board of Education. So the schools, you guys. Over my time over at USBE, I do sit in on the School Safety Center. So I am at the table with other members of USBE discussing school safety topics and procedures and protocols, and bringing that lens of SafeUT, as well as my background as a general education teacher, to that group of the School Safety Center. So let's talk about SafeUT and the overall goal of that. SafeUT is a space where, yes, students, but also educators and parents can turn to for some support, maybe some resources, maybe just an extra shoulder to lean on for the day, but is also used as a tip. They can submit a tip. So it is a very much needed school safety tool. Students can submit tips. Our clinicians over at SafeUT will send those tips along to you guys at the schools. So our goal of SafeUT and USBE and kind of bridging that gap is to just be proactive in school safety, both the physical safety of our students in our buildings and you guys as educators, but also that mental safety as well. So I wanted to open the floor to you guys, and I take a few seconds to reflect and process maybe, but what is your comfort level with SafeUT? Now that might be, everyone in the room today might have a different role in SafeUT. Some of you might receive those tips from our clinicians. Others might be just a common user, maybe as an educator, you chat in yourself, or suggesting that resource to your students possibly. So if you're comfortable, I would really like to hear from you guys. If you can unmute your mics and maybe just a quick 30 seconds, or if you want to just type it in the chat, you're super comfortable with SafeUT and its goals and its usages, or maybe you're not so comfortable just yet. So I'll give you a few seconds to think on that. Wonderful. We're getting some chats in. Thank you. I see some of us are pretty comfortable using it, offering it as a resource. I'm new to SafeUT and don't know anything. Well, welcome, Jessica. We're here to help you. Comfortable with SafeUT. Love the tips. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Have promoted it. Thank you, Devin. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to visit every school or every LEA throughout Utah to really promote SafeUT and educate students on it. So I do appreciate you guys being those champions and doing that within your own school and community as well. The next question, and Christy, I'll let you talk about this as well, but as a SuperUser program, I want us to think about how do we communicate best practices for school safety? And think about it on the receiving end from your side. When speaking about school safety, is it best for you to receive an email, maybe see a flyer, maybe have an in-person conversation about it, maybe a training, maybe a roundtable discussion, maybe an active drill? So again, feel free to unmute and participate, or maybe just type in the chat. But let's start the conversation of how do we communicate best practices for school safety?
Do you mean
Can you say that one more time, please?
how do we communicate with each other, or practices to students and families? I mean, I think there's different ways.
I will open the conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I will open the conversation to all of that an overarching umbrella, because as a super user, our underlying goal is to promote school safety, both, like I said, physical and mental school safety within our school, but also within that community. So yes, I'm open to all responses in all forms.
Yeah, I think the school safety really needs to be a school-wide, everyone on board mindset and movement. And sometimes we just train a few people from the school and not everyone's on board. I think it's really important for administration to be on board, and then for each school to develop a really comprehensive plan that everyone buys into, not just what are our safety protocols if, there's a crisis in the building, but also how do we build the relationships and connections with students to make them feel welcome and safe in our schools. So it's a really big picture, and everyone needs to be on board. So there's a lot of different practices that we need to use: training, roundtable discussions, retraining, student input from teachers. I think it's a lot of the things that you talked about.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to speak to that? And like you said, you were talking about being a big picture and making sure everyone is on board. That is what we hope for you guys as super users, to have that super user badge be worn, all the time. And as you're interacting with your students and your administrators and your community, really sharing through the lens of school safety and the super user and how to get everybody on board. So that is what we hope this program will do throughout the state. Any other last comments on that? I see your school uses Hope Squad. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, the last point of discussion before we get into the nitty-gritty details is feedback. And this is the first year of the Super User Grant Program, and feedback is going to be key for all of us to be successful. So we do hope that you guys are open to feedback, mostly giving it to us, Christy and myself, but also feedback from us. And that is a wide range of everything. We might come and ask you for some specific feedback, but also we would love to hear from you guys throughout the process, throughout the school year. What do you need from us? Would it be beneficial to get trained, or, like was just mentioned, retrained possibly, or maybe some data, or maybe some connections to your fellow super users? So you have a buddy, maybe a buddy super user system. We are very open to feedback. I am seeing your comments here.
Yeah, you sound a little Darth Vader.
Oh no. Is that better at all?
Not really. Bounty Hunter from the Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that's closer. I agree, Devin. Yeah, so if everybody could take a moment and make sure your mic is muted. It might be your mic, Ashley. Go ahead and click on mute, and let's try and let's try and do this again.
All right, I'm crossing my fingers. How does that sound? Oh no,
it's not better. All right, that's okay. So I'll take the last bullet from here. We'll maybe give it a minute. So really the ultimate goal here is that we need feedback from you in order to really make sure our students and our families are understanding what's happening, what have you found to be really effective in your school and community as far as getting those best practices out there? And so what do you feel is the best way to maybe circle back and have this group benefit from some of your successes? Would you like to see this group sit down and, as we meet, discuss what's worked and what hasn't worked? Would that be useful to you? You could just drop a yes or a no in the chat. All right, we're seeing quite a few yeses. Perfect. Yeah, so as we're meeting, what we'd like to do is highlight some of the grant participants to share when we get together, and have you really kind of report out on what you found was working, what wasn't working, and have this be a group learning exercise as we go, where this is something that's completely new to all of us. So again, we just appreciate you taking this on. So Ashley, if you want to head to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, and Ashley, you can shoot me a chat when you feel like maybe your mic is your friend again. So the grant itself is a unique opportunity this year. So we're hoping to continue it year to year, unsure what the future may hold. That's kind of the realm of COVID that we're living in, right? And so this is a partnership between the Utah State Board of Education and the University of Utah Neuropsychiatric Institute and SafeUT. And so there's multiple people who've come together to formulate this funding and this program. And Ashley has done an excellent job taking on something that's really been uncharted waters. And so the money itself, it will be done through Utah grants as a reimbursement process. And we'll get that out to you. We're finalizing numbers. I know we'll get to that in just a moment, but we're finalizing some numbers in the next 2 days. And so USPE will provide, the funding hopefully to increase curriculum as well as community outreach. And many of you have already been doing some of these things that we asked about on the grant. There's parent nights that we know all of you are participating in to some extent. Hopefully that's just something that you've been able to reimagine a little bit, and hopefully it's been able to give you access to things that maybe you wouldn't have access to otherwise. So it was meant to really help supplement some of these other programs that are specific to staff or specific programs. And this really helps hopefully fill some gaps in your programs that you weren't able to fill previously. So Ashley, anything you wanted to add there that I missed?
No, that all sounded great. Thank you. And does this sound better?
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So go ahead and take the wheel.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your patience, guys. All right. So what does that mean for the U? Like I said, you will be the champion in your school, in your district, in your community. Because I know we have some individuals at a school level, we have some individuals at a district level. And like I said, we hope that you will always be wearing this SuperUser badge and have SafeUT in mind and promote SafeUT when you can, and have mental wellness in mind and promote healthy mental wellness whenever you see the opportunity, and then also school safety as well. So as you go about your days interacting with students, interacting with fellow teachers or fellow administrators, please always be the champion of these things throughout your day. So some numbers for you guys. After the grant review process, we are so happy to have 27 super users throughout the state. So thank you very much. That means so many fantastic things are going to come about from the 27 of you all. Within those 27 super users are 16 LEAs. So we do have some LEAs with multiple super users because of their populations. The total funding that we received for this program is $450,000. And the super user stipend, which you all know, I believe is set at $2,250. Lucky for you, there's an asterisk next to that number. You could breathe, it's okay, it's a good asterisk. That stipend will actually increase. Like Christy said, we have been finalizing a few things this morning, even crossing some T's, dotting some I's, and that number will increase, but give us about 48 hours and we will have some final numbers for you. And I wanted to give you all a pat on the back because the additional funds that were requested and granted was $229,606. So thank you so much for doing the bare minimum of the super user, but also going above and beyond and asking for some additional help there. So thank you very much for taking those initiatives. All right, so the super user expectations, and these were copy and pasted straight from the grant application, so they should look familiar to you. Christy, feel free to jump in whenever you think is appropriate in case I've forgotten anything. But the first thing we have asked you to do is to create and facilitate a school safety student advisory board. Now, this board is supposed to encompass at least 10 students, and those students should be a representative of your school demographics and such. And this the school safety student advisory board should meet at least quarterly. Now, we did tell you that the Board of Education School Safety Center, which again is a board that I do sit in on, we will provide you with your agendas each meeting. Sometimes it will be a discussion, but also sometimes it might be some feedback on some school safety topics that the School Safety Center is currently discussing or would like some student feedback from. Something that is new is the mission statement for the School Safety Student Advisory Boards. And we just wanted to make sure that since we're having 27 super users, which hopefully ideally means 27 different student advisory boards, that we all had the same goal in mind. So we will share this with you, and feel free to please share it with your students as well as you are choosing them and meeting with them. But the School Safety Student Advisory Board will act as champions of school safety within their school to promote awareness of mental wellness and help reduce the stigma and help seeking. Students will elevate conversations on school safety topics and play a key role in providing feedback on school safety issues to the Utah State Board of Education School Safety Center. Christy, is there anything else you wanted to add to the School Safety Student Advisory Board?
No, I think you covered it. I think it's a good time for questions.
Yes, absolutely. Are there any questions regarding this expectation of super users? Yes, absolutely. This, I can see in the chat, Julie, this WebEx is being recorded, so you will have access to the recording, but yes, of course, I will also send you the PowerPoint as well. Any other questions on task number 1? All right. Task number 2, the super user will implement or support a school-wide student-focused evidence-based curriculum on mental wellness. Again, as super users being the champions of mental wellness and school safety and SafeUT, we just wanted to relay that down to the students as well, spreading awareness and having an evidence-based curriculum or an emerging best practices curriculum that the students were introduced to. And reading and reviewing some of the grant applications, it sounds like some of you will be doing this during a homeroom or before school, and I think those are all wonderful ideas. Christy, anything else regarding student-focused curriculum?
No, I think that's the bulk of it.
Are there any questions on helping to implement or support a school-wide curriculum for students?
I have a question. Any suggestions on what curriculum to use? I'd like to hear what other people have in mind for using, what they're going to use for their curriculum.
Yes, that's a great question. If you guys are willing, please go ahead and write in the chat what curriculum your school is using, or you can unmute your mics and explain as well.
This is Jacqueline Whitaker from Box Elder School District. We have actually contacted with David Schramm, Dr. Dave Schramm from Utah State University, and he is creating over 50 videos. He has 40 done. They're 1 to 3 minute videos that are meant for students, elementary, secondary, and some that are meant for parents, and some for faculty and staff, just on coping skills, on things to look for, and we're going to be handing those out and putting them on our social media and stuff.
How do we get in contact with David Schramm?
Let me drop that into the chat box.
We do have a question in the chat. It says, can a high school implement in their health class? Oh, hang on, I just lost it. In their health class, but not the entire school. Christy, do you have the answer to that for me, please?
I will work on dropping that into the chat.
Awesome, thank you.
Just
all right. So as Christy works on that, we will head to the third super user expectation. So very similar, the super user will implement or support a school-wide staff-focused evidence-based curriculum on mental wellness. Again, as we were reviewing all of the applications, it seems like a lot of you are implementing these trainings after school and faculty meetings, but also during PLCs. That was one I saw a few times. There were also a few before schools. So whatever works best in your school and for your staff. Now, let's go ahead and do that again, because I did love that question. If you all could share what evidence-based curriculum you are implementing with your staff, again, feel free to drop it in the chat or unmute and share with us. That would be great. Thanks, guys. Mindful schools, mindfulness-based stress reduction. For those that are not with us today, I do remember reading QPR was a common one with staff and faculty. Are there any additional questions on implementing a staff-focused, evidence-based curriculum? Dr. Schramm. Wonderful, okay. Fourth and final SuperUser expectation is to plan community involvement and outreach, including but not limited to building mental health awareness, increasing collaboration with mental health focused community agencies, and promoting and educating on SafeUT. Now, again, like Christy has said, a lot of you are doing this anyway. A lot of you are having back to school night or parent night or community night, or you're hosting fun runs or 5Ks or those events like that. We ask you to not recreate the wheel, but attend those events again with your SuperUser badge and with your badge on and through that lens. How can you include the community and build mental health awareness and increase collaboration, and how can you promote SafeUT beyond your school walls? Jacqueline Whitaker has already dropped in the chat, wonderful parent nights, assemblies, videos. I love that. If you have any specific plans for your community involvement for this part 4, and you are willing to drop them in the chat and share, that would be wonderful. Virtual mental health screenings, school counselors, yes, of course. Poetry slams around mental health, I love that. Community service projects, parent night. I'll give us a few more seconds in case there are any more that would like to share in the chat. Same, Christy, can we go together? That
Seriously.
awesome.
You let me know when the poetry slam is, because I would love to come. That is so up my alley. Thank you, Samantha. Looking forward to it.
Same. All right, any questions on that task number 4 of community involvement? YouTube, wonderful. Technology can be our friend, it can. All right, that is all we had, guys. Objectively for our orientation today, we will open up the floor to you guys if you have any questions that maybe came about during this orientation, or if you have an outstanding question that we haven't covered yet. For those of you that might not be able to see the chat, I'm going to read Stephanie's chat. She says, it would be helpful to have a shared document with each of the various plans each SuperUser implemented in their district or school. I love seeing what works in other schools, and sharing a resource like that may be helpful to smaller districts who don't have a chance to collaborate as often. Like a shared folder full of plans, activities, curriculum, success stories, etc. Would something like that be possible? Yes, absolutely. That's a wonderful idea. I was just about to share that we were going to do a big email thread, but I think a Google Doc or a Google folder of some sort would be a really good idea as well. Yes, absolutely. Can we combine the SafeUT logo on our Hope Squad shirt? Lori, let me get back to you. Like I said, I'm still pretty new to the program, so let me check with my leadership and see what that might entail. And if you could send me an email with that exact question, so one, I don't forget, and two, I know exactly who to get back to, because that's a wonderful question. And my email will be on the next slide, so don't worry if you don't know it just yet. All right. Christy, is there anything I missed?
No, great work. Love to see all the ideas. Feel free to shoot us a flyer or an email with an invite for a time and a place. We would love to come out and support you if our schedules allow. So yeah, keep us in the loop. We'd really like to be involved as much as we can.
Yes, I absolutely agree with her. Like I said, I'm going to try, after this, I will send out an email just as a follow-up with a PowerPoint attached and just welcoming everybody to the SuperUser group. So give us at least 24 to 48 hours and we will have that big email thread ready for you guys. On the screen is both mine and Chrissy's emails and phone numbers in case you need us. Other than that, if there are no additional questions, you guys are free. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And we are very excited to work with you all and appreciate each and every one of you, your time and your efforts, absolutely, and your compassion as well.
Ashley, did you get that one question where when is the grant going to post in grant management? I'm sorry if you got that.
I did not see that question. When is the grant posting in the grant management system? Tina or Christy, can you speak to that by any chance?
So I'll speak to that real quick. We've been working on the school-based mental health qualified grant programs too, and those numbers are just about final. And so once the numbers are passed off to finance, they're entered in finance and then they're put through Utah grants. So you're probably looking at within a week to have full access. That's the goal. So please watch for that. If a week goes by and you haven't seen or heard anything, please reach out. We're happy to keep you updated. But like Ashley said, we're finalizing those last few dollars that will be contributed to that SuperUser stipend. So we're really excited about being able to increase that. And yeah, we appreciate your patience. We know granting is quite the process.
One last thing before you all leave today, we do not have everybody with us. So if you could please just drop your name and your district or your school or your LEA in the chat, that would be wonderful and that would be great for attendance as well. So once you've dropped your name in the chat box, feel free to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you all.